Welcome into the Alabama Football Report. I am Tom Downey. Some news that you can probably tell from the headline we'll get into momentarily, but we are free here on YouTube. And it's a meritocracy at Chat Sports. The more subscribers a channel has, the more videos you guys get. Let's keep growing this channel. We are 196 away from 8,000. Let's get there as soon as possible. Hit that sub button right now. Tom Downey here for the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. The news of the day as Jaylen Key has transferred to the Crimson Tide, the second defensive back in roughly a week. The Crimson Tide have added via the transfer portal. Key made the announcement not that long ago that he is transferring to Alabama. The Crimson Tide land him over major programs like UNC, Florida State, Ohio State, and more. A big-time get for the Crimson Tide, who at minimum are now getting some better depth in the defensive back room. They were a little bit thin. They lost several pieces to graduation to the NFL, some transfers, some maybe discipline stuff coming as well for a player or two. We've discussed that in the past. Let's get more focused in on Jaylen Key today, who had a massive breakout year for UAB last year. Now remember, he's from Tallahassee. Florida State was in the mix. North Carolina was allegedly another finalist, but played at UAB, gets his dad on the official visit to Alabama this past week, or I guess technically this week, and is impressed, makes the commitment. 60 tackles last year, 4.5 sacks, or TFLs, 1 sack, 3 interceptions, 1 pass breakup. Key did not play that much at UAB until this year. He was a role player, a backup, a barely on the field guy. And then he gets a chance this year and really impresses. He can play some safety, can play some nickel. We'll figure out exactly, what the roles end up looking like for Jaylen Key in a little bit. But when it comes to the safety room, I think there are some flexibility pieces here. Now, we've updated our depth chart, so bear with me here. ESPN has no headshots of Earl Little that have the transparent background, so we're doing this one second. It looks awesome. I love that photo for Earl Little. He's been getting some star reps there. Malachi Moore is really going to be maybe your number 2 defensive back overall behind Kool-Aid McKinstry as the outside cornerback number 1. They added Trey Amos, who could be a potential, probably backup early on. I still think Terrion Arnold gets the starting nod there. I think Caleb Downs will play a big role for this team on top of that. So, safety 1, safety 2, the ordering, and maybe it's more strong safety, free safety, and Malachi Moore when they go to, dime packages. I wouldn't be surprised if he slots down into the into a nickel role, and I think you'll see plenty of Caleb Downs. You'll probably see some Christian Story, Jake Pope as well. But the depth is now significantly better than where it was, a month ago for the Crimson Tide. That's why they went after Jaylen Key. That's why they went after Trey Amos. Now they're in a bit more comfortable position, especially at the safety spot. So prediction time. Does Jaylen Key start for Alabama? I think Malachi Moore is one locked-in starter. Is Key the other one? Caleb Downs, 5-star freshman. It's the pinned comment on today's show. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Y for yes or N for no. We'll go some more in depth here on Key, but I want to look at the overall transfer class for the Crimson Tide. Last year, headlined by Jahmyr Gibbs, that one I think worked out pretty darn well. 5 players this year. 3 of them coming in, by the way, in the kind of the second wave of the portal. Tyler Buchner, the quarterback from Notre Dame, C.J. Dippre, the tight end for Maryland, Trezmen Marshall, linebacker from Georgia, and then for really the first time ever, Nick Saban's bringing in group of 5 transfers. That's not really been a thing in the past under Saban at Alabama. Trey Amos, the cornerback, and now Jaylen Key, the defensive back. So Buchner has a real chance to be this team's starting quarterback. We'll wait and see if that actually ends up being the case, but he did not come here. You do not transfer into Alabama to be a backup. That kind of defeats the purpose of what Saban does. So Buchner at least thinks he can start. C.J. Dippre, I think they viewed him as a potential starter, at least a rotational player at tight end. Lewis is impressed at tight end early on for the Crimson Tide. A bit of a surprise there, but Dupree's got the offensive background coming from Maryland to Alabama that's at least intriguing. Trezmen Marshall, the Georgia to Bama transfer. I think it's play that much for Georgia. Clearly, the Crimson Tide think he can at least be a really good depth piece. Because, again, you're not adding backups for their entire careers when you transfer to Alabama. Trey Amos, again, I don't think he starts, But I think, with some discipline, some other losses, some transfers, I bet he's outside cornerback number 3. And with the way college football works, injuries are a thing. I bet we see some Amos this year. And finally, of course, most recently, Jaylen Key coming in to Alabama. Gives you some size, some depth. The secondary was, there's plenty of talent, but it was a bit unproven, a bit thinner. By adding Key and by adding Amos, you stabilize that room and give it some insurance or even a new starter in Key, just in case, injuries or players don't break out the way we think that they could. So be honest with me in the comment section. Grade the Alabama transfer class this year. A, B, C, D, or F. Sound off in the comment section right now. Before we go, we'll do a little bit of recruiting updates for you guys. A new finalist list has been released by Caleb Odom, the 4-star tight end. Alabama made the top 7. I know we've talked a lot about tight ends in recent days on the show. Wasn't my intent, but that's where the news has been with the finalists, the offers, etc. Again, I am convinced this team is trending towards more tight end usage than in years past under Tommy Rees. That's why they've been pushing so hard to look at a bunch of different tight ends, because you need more depth and you need more high-end impacts. Odom is a top 100 overall recruit, again, based on the 24/7 Sports composite rankings. He is a 4-star recruit. He's the number 6 tight end overall and the number 14 player in the state of Georgia. That is the exact type of player Alabama, I think, of course, wants to add, would boost their recruiting rankings and give them some more upside, some ability, maybe an instant impact potentially too, in the tight end room. This is a good target for the Crimson Tide to go after. Now, Odom announced his top 7. No particular ordering on these, but Alabama made the top 7. Colorado, I guess, is the outlier school, but things have changed with Deion Sanders, Nick Saban's buddy in the Aflac commercials, right? The Colorado offers mean a lot more now than what they once did. Now, will it work for the Buffaloes? I don't know. Deion Sanders is no Nick Saban, but the recruiting aspect is real. Florida, Georgia, the other 2 of the other SEC teams, I should say. Ole Miss is in there, Penn State, and Miami. So, look, he's a top 100 recruit. Shouldn't surprise anybody. There's a lot of big programs after Caleb Odom. He's had this to say to 24/7 Sports when asked about the Alabama offer. It was crazy. The history that Alabama has and stuff. Their history of championships, the winningness of their program. It was very surreal when they offered me, but it was a blessing. Even if you don't go to Alabama, getting an offer from the Crimson Tide is kind of a big deal. That's been like the college football program the past give or take 10 years. Like, they've been the number 1 team. Obviously, talk about other schools that have risen up lately. But getting an offer from Bama is a big deal. I'd like to get Odom to the Crimson Tide because I think they need some more tight end impacts. We will have more recruiting updates for you guys right here on the channel, so make sure you are subscribed. YouTube.com/@RollTideTV.